Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. As always, want to thank everybody for their support. Thank you, Patreons, and those supporting us with YT memberships and on Ko-Fi.
And it's very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It just hits me after studying so many different world mythologies, and like anybody out there, watching a lot of different movies over the years. The Lord of the Rings was one of my favorite series. It was one of my favorites. Matrix was another, Star Wars. These are classics that speak to something inside us. There's like, it's a remembrance. It's like a DNA remembrance. We know some of this is kind of right.
Well, you can feel it, right? When you look at those things and say, wow, that just, that fits.
Yeah, and we're uncovering. This is the time of the apocalypse, the great unveiling, and we realize that yes, there's humans, or that which we would call Homo sapiens sapiens. We've never been alone, and there's been many different humanoid types of beings on the planet with us. There is, in fact, a basis for what we would call dwarves. There's also a basis for what we call elves and giants and many other things, fairies, elementals. The reality is, it's not that they've necessarily left us, although there is some truth to that too, in a way. It's that humanity's changed and we've been conditioned to not see things, to when we do see things, think well, we don't see things. Now, you didn't really see anything. No, that was a trick of light and your imagination.
All in the imagination, right?
Yeah, when we look to the hobbits, the halflings, there's Florencinensis, which is something that we've seen in Java, and it really truly was about a 3 foot tall, very humanoid being. Of course, they always make them out to be very, very unintelligent and kind of monkey like. But, there is an intelligence even in the monkeys, and they do have a soul as well. Perhaps more souls than some human beings. Oh, and then we have the orcs. This orc looks really familiar. I think I've seen that orc before. But these guys, could we not see them as some sort of reptilian hybrids? Again, we'll put labels on things because we might say, if we're more biblically inclined, well, those were demons. Oh, okay. But they were flesh and blood, right? And actually, embodied just like us. But we could look at them and think that they're demons, or we might call them orcs, again, if we're inclined towards certain mythologies. Or you might say this is some sort of reptilian creature. Again, it depends on what you've been conditioned with. When you look to this, and again, this is another very interesting case. There's been many cases of actual body and body parts found that science has said, well, it's something. We don't know exactly what it is. 3 fingers, 3 toes. It's hard to say exactly what this looked like in life. But these Peruvian bodies cause quite a stir. And, what's really fascinating is that non human bodies, they're not human, they're not Homo sapiens sapiens, studied in Peru, have 10 implants embedded into subcutaneous tissue. They are literally finding artificial implants inside these tridactyl beings. They're calling them tridactyl because of the three, digits there. Nazca mummies, Nazca, where we have those signs. There's hundreds of signs in Nazca that are made for people that are flying by in the air because you can't tell what they are from ground level, but you can when you're up in the air. So, again, obvious they were getting the attention of beings that could fly.
Now, I think there's a good portion who might find this very, very difficult to believe. But when we come across these things, we are pulling from personal experience where we have seen things that were just unimaginable. I mean, just right there, right on your front doorstep, like right there. We've done videos of several things that there's no explanation for them. So when we do see this, it's like we feel into it. It's like, yeah, that's a thing. But I can understand many, many people might think it's not true, but it is.
Yeah. And if you haven't had these experiences yourself, of the what we would call paranormal kind, it probably just is the case that your pineal gland's not functioning and needs to be decalcified. It's just that simple. There's a reason why they've been calcifying our pineal glands for a long time. This is talking about the Peruvian University Declaration on the Tridactyl mummies. Yeah, this was, a famous landmark case here. And, they received four desiccated bodies with both human and what? Reptilian characteristics. These specimens were delivered by journalist Jorge Israel Mantilla Carvajal by virtue of his right to confidentiality and compliance with the principle of confidentiality in the source of the information. The largest one we call Maria, size similar to that of a human being, but with notable anatomical differences, among which one is an elongated skull and the presence of three fingers on both hands and feet. This is fascinating. There were a couple other smaller bodies, approximately 60 centimeters in length. They exhibited a morphological and anatomical structure that differs significantly from human. The skin has morphological and histological characteristics that resemble those of reptiles, and both the hand and feet are tridactyls. In addition, they have voluminous skulls, and their bones and joint systems in general differ significantly from human anatomy. So obviously, these are not exactly human, but they're also not paper mache. And there's a lot of people that want to make you think they are paper mache, that they're nothing but a falsification. Nothing could be farther from the truth, though, of the reality that Earth has had just countless species on it: human, reptilian, everything in between, even avian, and many other types of beings as well. Just in our age alone, just in the Kali Yuga, is where we've had this idea that it's just us. And that's what the system has given us to kind of keep us isolated and in a spot of unknowing.
There are many, many employees out there who are working for the government to cover these things up or debunk them or just make up scientific, research saying, oh, we scientifically tested this and it's wrong. They get paid a lot of money. They get paid a ton of money. There's not a lot of money in revealing things like this. There's not a lot in it because they don't get the funding. The funding goes to mostly debunking.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the reality. Now, I've seen a being with fingers like this, and I've shared it with you. As December 2017, I woke up to feel something entering my energy body below my navel, and it was a very tall gray that didn't expect me to wake up. And it had put a puncture, it was attempting to put a puncture in my lower dantian, which is the storehouse for the physical chi, the life force, which I've gathered over decades with my Qigong practice to help me stay stronger and more abundantly healthy, as well as to enable that energy to flow upwards and activate the pineal gland and open up all the chakras so that you can have a much more expansive human experience. And this being was sabotaging me. It was sent to sabotage me. And it literally went and sabotaged me after I turned down the Illuminati because they had reached out to me to go and receive their indoctrination. And they said everything would be taken care of. You'll never want for anything again. This is what the system has done with all these paid debunkers to a degree. Some are not knowingly really on the payroll of the system that they understand. They might be thinking they're just working for this company or that company, whether it's federal government or what have you, and not understand the bigger picture that's going on. I think that's the case with most people. They don't understand the bigger picture. They're just doing their job. And what they're doing is, again, hiding the reality from us that is, they can't cover up all the evidence. They have tried. This is part of the nonstop wars, is to destroy all the evidence of the past beings that were on the planet. Where did these beings go? Well, most of them have been exterminated, or they fled, or they went inside the earth as well. this is part of a bigger war that's been ongoing as you look at the tridactyl feet. Now we've seen footprints like this too in the desert in Nevada, in Amargosa. And Cindy did see a lumbering creature there as well. That was about 5 years ago. These bodies, again, the existence of these beings doesn't just depend on these bodies. There's been so many bodies, again, uncovered over the years. Again, the Smithsonian. Somebody said that they thought the Smithsonian was the first like spy agency for the government. Yeah, it's a cover up agency. This is what they've been doing, covering up. This is one of the little ones, Santiago. And yeah, again, massive variety of beings, a massive amount of different hybrids. And, we haven't uncovered everything. There's still a lot more to be uncovered. And the deeper down we go, what will we find? Well, we find that, there's these cataclysms, and these cataclysms, they erase a lot of the evidence. And yes, there is natural cyclical cataclysms. But at the same time, what we have going on is an unnatural rewriting of history and a rewriting into a new history that enables the control system to stay where it is, which is in a point of control. These beings that had advanced technology put into their bodies, that's basically just around the corner for a lot of humans. And, you'll be offered the opportunity to have a better life if you accept the technology. This is how they're going to sell it. But ultimately, the technology is always about control. And again, our myths and legends, I do think they have a lot more truth in them than our history books in many cases. When you look to Neanderthals and Denisovans, physically larger, stronger, more muscular, if the average human was fighting physically against the average Neanderthal or Denisovan, they're going to be at a disadvantage. The Neanderthals and Denisovans also had bigger brain capacity. Did we kill them or did the system kill them? The system always wants to blame everything on us, but it was actually the system that chose to eliminate the more threatening version of human. Now, again, the body is a vehicle. It's just a vehicle. They want to limit the vehicles that souls can come into in this reality so that they maintain control.
And, things are fixing to turn around. We've seen so many signs. We have so many signs in the sky that things are going to be changing. So I guess our job is just, to prepare one another and be there if someone needs some help when it comes to this information coming out completely. It can really change your life.
Absolutely. We've had mass migrations of beings from Mars come to Earth. We've had mass migrations of beings from many different planets come to Earth, many different star systems. In fact, again, a lot of what we've gotten from our myths and legends is also marked down in these different pictographs that we have, showing us what, just fantasy? No, they're really trying to give us the truth. They're trying to describe to us the fact that we've had visitors from the stars, visitors that have come from elsewhere. Why are humans so diverse on this planet? You have some groups of people that, average 4.5 feet tall to this day. And then we actually still have pygmies that are maybe 3.5 feet tall. And then we have giants that are 7, sometimes almost 8 feet tall. Why do we have, is it just simply genes that get turned on and off? To a degree, but also the intermingling of different genes because we're a bunch of different people from all over many different star systems. And the control system has done its best to continue to keep pulling the wool over people's eyes. Life abounds, and this whole reality was created so that non physical beings could have a 3D experience. So it's not made so that life is hard to come by. No, it's just the opposite. Life is relatively easy, and they are always creating new life forms, new hybrids. And as other beings have come to Earth and intermingled, we've had a wealth of different beings here. All different sorts of beings from different places with different ideologies, different priorities. That's really the telltale, um, sign of this all.
It is, it's about us expanding into a whole new world, and we're getting it done together. It takes everyone to bring their piece of the puzzle to make the whole picture.
Yes, and some more intelligent than others. And how do you keep your position at the top? Well, you try to dumb down the populace as best as they can. And that's what they've done with different ideologies, different political systems, keeping us always at war with each other, less than nutritious food, toxic water, toxic air. It's all being exposed. And despite all their best efforts, humanity is awakening.
Indeed.
And that is a beautiful thing. It's never too late, as this 18-year-old Reese, her name is Reese there. She's out there living her best life. She's enjoying her embodiment. And again, at some point in time, she'll leave that and she'll be able to fly again, literally, when she leaves this vehicle. And then probably come back and do it all over again. Maybe as a human, maybe as something totally different.
It's so cute to watch our little critters grow.
The soul transmigrates, and the soul is eternal. It's just a matter of having different experiences and different learning opportunities. As always, guys, thanks for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.